It's time for the chaos to cease.
Time to open yourself to peace.
From the hours you've put in.
To the next shift you begin.
From the endless pursuit of release.
That finds the worst unleashed.
Transform the ugly into a win.
Get to know your shield within.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mark.
And welcome to another episode of The Shield Within.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say we're super excited today, but I am super excited today because coming off the heels of the Joe Terry episodes, 13 and 14, a lot's happened since then, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Much good.
Yes. And before we get any further, we have to introduce our beautiful guest we have here today is the woman that should be sainted.
Mm-hmm. And is, in your mind, a saint.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. She has to be. She's the mother of my children.
Mm-hmm.
My lovely, beautiful, talented wife, Miss Susan, is with us today. Say hello.
Hello.
There she is. You. And why is she on the episode? Well, we'll get to that here in just a minute because she, helped pony up half the money for all this equipment. But let's do a little business first, and then we'll talk about the episode. So if you're into Facebook, and we hope you are, for as long as it still lasts, till the, anyway, we won't get political, but go to Facebook /The Shield Within. If you want to go to the internet and see our miserable little website, it's www.shieldwithin.com. I'm the webmaster, so any comments, you can go ahead and throw them at me. But if you're in need and you need someone to talk to who's a professional, you can talk to this gentleman to my right. You can push the coaching button or go to lessonslearnedcoaching.com. Also, our little bit of it's a disclaimer, not a warning. It's a disclaimer. Listen to the Shield Within. If you're having issues, we may stir something up inside you. Mm-hmm. And we recommend you find a therapist. In the meantime, this is also not plugged for David, but he's available right now. Your client list is still, you can still take some new
still
people.
Taking people.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, there you go. I had a gentleman the other day I referred to. But shieldwithin.com. Come see us on Facebook. We always try to do some daily postings. Again, that's me. We're a one-man shop here. Mm-hmm. But if we listen to episode 14, you find yourself here today. And we talked about the Stellate Ganglion Block. So the cool thing about the Chip Terry Fund was that I was the recipient of a grant from the Chip Terry Fund. I was absolutely stunned and amazed. Weren't you, Susan? Were you surprised by that?
Yes.
What about you, David?
Stunned and amazed are good words. It was start anywhere you want to, bro. I mean, how it got set up? How did it get set up?
Yeah, how did we get there? Well, Joe Terry of the Chip Terry Fund came up. We cut a couple shows, and as you know, she didn't make two trips here. She came to the MTC studios. She drove all the way up here from Covington, Kentucky, which I was just amazed at for our little show. But she wants to get her message out. And during her time with us, she referred to what she does as a ministry. And I'm thinking, wow, that really touched my heart. So that afternoon, we did the two shows. David and I took her to Hickory River here in Tip City, and we're talking and we're chatting. And she talked about in 14 about the Stellate Ganglion Block, what it is. And I said on the show that, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and have it done. And she teed off on that. So she didn't say anything, but she just took it and put it away. So during our lunch, she said something along the lines of, how serious are you about that? I said, I'm real serious about it. I'm going to get your card. Mm-hmm. And she gave me a card. And she said, well, I think that we can help you out with that. And I didn't understand what she meant. So I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. I thought she meant, I'll give you the number,
Right.
And she talked about the expense of it. And she says, no, I will call you tomorrow, she said. And we, made our goodbyes because we're busy. We ended up being, 2 hours for the show and took a little break and went to lunch. So she had to go. David had to go. We all had things to do, so we left. So the next day, she calls me. And she said, so let's talk about this. And I said, yeah, let's do it. What do I need to do? She says, no, you don't have to pay anything. Say that again. I think my phone cut out. She says, no, I'm gonna give you a grant from the Chip Terry Fund to get your Stellate Ganglion Block done because you qualify. And I keep drawing a blank on this damn test.
PCL5.
PCL5. Yeah, hell, it's right there in front of me. I don't have my glasses on. So she says, we need to get your PCL5 score from your psychiatrist. And we talked about Molly Hall and Jerry Kanapke. And I said, okay, cool. She said, well, we'll need that number before you get this done. I'm going to call Beacon Orthopedics and have their person call you and get it scheduled. So when you get scheduled, call me. And I will meet you there on that day. And I said, I was stunned. A man of 1,000 words. I just didn't know what the fuck to say. And I'm like, other than thank you. Thank you so much. This is so huge. She says, no, thank you for everything you've done. And people don't realize, how bad first responders are hurting, but I do.
Yeah.
And she says, no, this is what we do.
Right.
At the Chip Terry Fund is to find resources and things like that. And she said, I couldn't remember. She said I was going to be the first or one of the first cops. Because mostly they serve. She did say the first.
The first.
Okay. Mm-hmm. She did because mostly they do firefighters.
Right.
And she said, you'll be my first cop. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. So, and man, it wasn't an hour the phone rang, and it was Beacon Orthopedics. Hey, this is so-and-so from Beacon, and we want to go ahead and get you scheduled. How's your schedule look? Of course, you were gone, weren't you? I think you were in Florida. Were you down south?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, down at the Southern Studios. So I'm like, okay, just give me a range of dates. So I'm texting Susan. I'm like, hey, I want you to be there, and so we get it set up, and then I'm super excited about it. And I called you.
Right.
And I said, dude, I want you to do this with me. And you're like, are you sure? And I'm like, hell yeah. I mean, we need to, because I'd never heard of it before. Mm-hmm. Have you?
No. It was new information when she presented it. When we talked on the phone that day in, probably May, she had just gotten off the phone with Dr. Kruer.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like the last piece to formally agree to be the doctor in the project. Okay. So she'd had the state of, as I understand it, the state of Kentucky had already said, yeah, we'll do this, but you got to have an MD to do the actual injection and all that kind of stuff. So she had contact with one of her folks that she has contact with in Maryland. And that individual, I think was a woman, told her about Dr. Kruer, who at that time I think was in Montana, and came back to the area and ended up in Kentucky. And so it was very convenient for her to call him and say, hey, we got this thing going. And he was, oh, yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
I've done that for veterans and so forth. So that fit in. And right after that phone call, she and I talked on the phone, and she was like sky high. It was all put together. It was all the pieces were in place, and she was really excited. So I had to be like, okay, what the hell are you talking about? Because I don't know this shit at all. And so she explained very much, as she did on the show, about the stellate ganglion and where it is and the process of getting a neck jab. And she opened that door for you, my man.
Yeah, and we're so thankful. So the days leading up to it really wasn't any prep. I had to pay for the office visit, which I was fully prepared to pay for the whole thing because I wanted to know what the experience was about, so we could talk about it and possibly do lectures on it. The benefits. Does it benefit? Is it good? Does it work? You know.
Right.
The only way you're going to know it is to experience it.
Right.
It's like I tell people, like test driving a car. Until you take it home, take it out and drive the damn thing, you're not going to know.
Yeah.
So the day comes. We all meet here at the house. Well, let's back up. Let's talk about what it is. So I had to do some research on the Stellate Ganglion Block, and what it is it was discovered by mistake, like every other great thing. The knowledge that I was told was that it came from the VA, and they were treating PTSD with it, but they were actually treating shingles. It was a pain block for shingles.
Right.
And the vets that had shingles that were getting the pain block were like, I feel fucking great after getting this done. PTSD symptoms went into shitter. So then they're like, maybe there's something to this. So that's when they started, I don't want to say experimenting, but doing a test run. Let's say that, doing a test run for people who are suffering from PTSD. So that's how it was figured out. Dr. Kruger, he's an orthopedic, right? Pain clinic, is that what they are there?
Right, and I think a sports medicine.
Yeah, sports medicine, they do that too, yeah. So
anesthesiologist.
Anesthesiologist? Yeah, he's an anesthesiologist. So, but, so yeah, we roll in there, get all the paperwork done, did everything online before we got there. We jumped in the car, went down, we had lunch at a just wonderful restaurant, Blinkers, in Covington, Ohio, or Covington, Kentucky. Sorry.
We wish.
Yeah.
We'd be there every day.
Yeah. It just had just amazing. It was Joe's suggestion to go there. The, what is it? The hostess. She's visually stimulating. You go to Blinkers, you'll know what I'm talking about. I kind of questioned whether, is that a dude?
That was even more fundamental than that. Was she real?
Yeah, really. Yeah, she's like a living Barbie doll.
Yeah.
A living Barbie doll. I was like, whoa. Wasn't ready for that when I walked in the door. But the food was excellent.
Oh, my. Yeah.
So then we went over to Beacon and met the staff. Just wonderful staff. Dr. Kruger was just amazing. So I asked Susan to take some pictures. So, and I really didn't know what to expect. So we did the test on the way down, didn't we?
Right.
So they're like, we need those numbers. So I called Dr. Hall, and they're like, we didn't do it because we knew you only do that to diagnose PTSD. We know, and through her interview, you are, in a scale of 1 to 10, you're a 10. That's, see, honey, you married a 10.
I'm sure she's always known
yeah, right. Yeah. And then I called Jerry, and I said, did you do the test? And he said, no, I know you're ate the fuck up. I didn't need to do the test. He didn't say that on that living. So, but Joe's like, no, we need that number. That's imperative. We have that number for the research. So David looked it up. I'm driving down the highway, and he's giving me the test. Talk about the test, David.
This was news to me as well. I retired from my active clinical office in 15, which was the year the new diagnostic manual was put into operation. And I was actually, I made my decision to close the office in summer of 14, and I had a class scheduled to learn about the new diagnostic manual, which I canceled. So I understand now that when the new diagnostic manual was published and put into use in 15, that one of the things that was kind of came along with it was the PCL5. And when you look online for the PCL5, you'll also see probably PCL-C, PCL-V. It's different variations on this assessment that are for civilians or for military. The PCL-5 is more general, can be used for anybody suffering PTSD, and it's really simple.
Okay.
It's 20 items, and the range of answers is 0 through 4, and you go down each question, and for example, in the past month, how much were you bothered by repeated, disturbing, and unwanted memories of the stressful experience? So you answer 0, none at all, or 4, extremely, or in between 1, 2, 3. So we went through that, 1 through 20. First time for me to administer it and read it and have some sense of what it's for. You did great. Susan chipped in with adding all the numbers up so that we could figure out what the hell the number was. Took us a while. And then we finally came up with exact same answers, and you scored a 64. The diagnostic standard for the diagnosis of PTSD is 34. You were almost exactly double that number. So we called or texted, I think it was texted Joe.
Yeah, we text Joe. Yeah.
And let her know that your score was 64. She said, oh, yeah.
He's definitely a candidate.
Yes. So that's what we walked in and we told Dr. Kruger that before you actually got the injection, what your score was.
Yeah. And for me, taking this, it's suffering from the affliction. It's hard for me to, I don't want to necessarily say accept, but it's difficult for me to keep in mind that I'm on the scale of, I'm that bad. But I'm sure Susan living with me can see that. It's like riding a greased pig every day. Literally. No, I'm kidding.
Might be too much information.
Yeah. But it can be difficult at best. But accepting the fact that, okay, there is a problem, and here's why I act this way. Right. When people listen to the other show, and then I'd mentioned a few times, oh, well, you're so funny and outgoing and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, and what I'm learning is people that are doing a lot of officer or mental wellness shows,
right?
Like Travis House. Travis House was a retired firefighter and police officer, but he went and did comedy.
Yeah. He
did a comedy tour.
Yeah.
Our good friend Nick Ruggiero with the Roll Call Room podcast, he does comedy. Funny guy. But, but we're also horribly affected.
Right.
And Travis House does his own show. It's Find Your Own Light or something. I'm sorry. I'm confusing it with this book, but what he talks about is the effects of PTSD and how daily going through this, right, and how life is with it.
Yeah.
So anyway, we get the test numbers, we get down there, and I hear that number 64, and I said, okay, is that good or bad? I'm thinking, we want to be like a golf score, right?
Right.
lower number wins, not like bowling. But so I was very anxious that day.
Yeah.
I had a lot of anxiety that day. I had gone through that weekend was stressful for me. Mm-hmm. So when we come up with those numbers, and this is for the last 30 days.
Right.
Have you had these feelings within the last 30 days?
Right.
And I scored a 64. So we get down there, and I'm still a little nervous and putting things together, and meaning, got to do the payment, got to do the paperwork, blah, 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 blah. So we go back into the room. They call us back finally. Dr. Creer is just awesome dude, really friendly, younger guy, kind of like my age, if not younger, mm-hmm, which kind of set me back. I didn't expect that. His, I don't know, technician, nurse, whatever, we go back in there, and there's, we walk into a room. It's probably 30 by 15,
right,
office or medical room,
right,
and there's like a massage bed and like a great big C-shaped apparatus with like a trash can on the end of it. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? Well, that was the x-ray machine.
Right.
And what they do is they had me lay face up, mm-hmm, on this table. They made everyone put on lead aprons. Mm-hmm. And he told me, he said, this is going to be about 8 minutes. Really? He's like, yeah, but you can't talk. Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
That's very hard for you.
Yeah, it's going to be the longest 8 minutes of my life.
That's why Susan took pictures.
Yeah, that's right. I couldn't believe it. I'd shut the fuck up. But so I had to give him a thumbs up. I'd hold my thumb up the whole time. So he did 2 stabs in the neck with local anesthetic, and then he went in between C5 and 6, right?
Right.
That's where he put it in at.
Right. On
the right side. And I was under the impression we did both sides. And then he told me, he said, we're going to do the first injection today. We'll see how things go. You're going to sit here for a little bit after we do it to make sure everything's all right. And then you're going to come back in a month, and we're going to do another one. Mm-hmm. No, okay, cool. So they put me on the thing, and my feet were slightly elevated. So I was having a little bit of anxiety with that. So I kind of had to close my eyes and calm myself. Mm-hmm. So the jabs in the neck wasn't bothering me a bit. So I told Susan, just take pictures, take mm-hmm. big pictures, close and whatever. So they put the thing over top of me, and that's how he guides the needle into the nerve.
Right.
Right. Because you guys were watching. I would.
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
right.
Susan and David were in the room. I wanted them to be witness to all of it.
Right.
So we asked him, hey, we do a podcast. Is it okay we take some pictures? He's like, sure, yeah, that's fine. So we're really accommodating. He's like, but it's violating your HIPAA rights. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. If we can get someone some relief,
right,
I don't care. If you take a picture of me with a needle hanging out of my neck, may gross some people out, but
that's okay.
But he did the local anesthetic, shoved the needle in. I had a tingling down my back, mm-hmm. Which I didn't think they would go south, but from like my hips all the way up, to the base of my skull is where I felt it.
Right. And
I set up, wasn't nauseous at all. But, like I said, the procedure only lasted, it was 8 minutes. Done. Mm-hmm. He's like, you can swallow, but you can't talk. Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay. So thumbs up the whole time, set up, no problem. He's like, all right, man, you're done. Go out front, make an appointment for next month, and we'll see you later.
Right.
Wow. Okay, cool. So I remember walking out, and Susan asked me, "Do you want to drive?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'm thinking we'll sit in the back seat," because I was starting to feel tired.
Okay.
And I remember I was still anxious in that there was some fucking woman that didn't know. She was trying to leave, wasn't she?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I'm like, blow the horn at that bitch. So I'm getting road rage from the back seat, but I'm feeling it subside. I'm feeling the level coming down. I'm like way up here, and I'm feeling it. It's starting to go down, and as it's going down, I'm starting to get sleepy. So I remember driving home, and I remember we had to cross the river because we were in Kentucky. Fort Thomas?
Yes.
No, did I get that right?
Right.
Because I
Yes.
sucked at it before.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're in Fort Thomas, Kentucky. So we're on our way back. And I remember driving, we were in the northern end of Cincinnati, and I'm just like, oh, God, I can barely hold my head up. So I was kind of likening it to the first time you and I did EMDR. But I didn't do anything, I just got a stab in the neck, but I don't know why I'm fucking tired. And so, we got back here to the house and said our goodbyes and went home. And I remember coming in, and Susan's like, how do you feel? And I said, I don't feel anything. I mean, I don't feel anything. I'm not upset. I'm super fucking chill. I remember going to bed that night, and I've never slept that good. I can't remember the last time I slept that good.
Yeah.
No drugs, nothing. Just went in there, pow, out like a fucking light. It was awesome. What'd you think?
I think over the next few weeks, you were very calm and just seemed like you were in a much better mood. And
More like the guy you married 30 years ago? No,
Yes.
that guy was an asshole too.
no, he wasn't.
Oh.
No, he wasn't. But you just seemed more relaxed, more comfortable, just not uptight.
Yeah, I mean, you get to the point to where you're like, you're like the tiger pacing in the cage. I got to do something. I gotta, but for a good, I don't know, a good solid week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was, whatever. Nothing. Fucking nothing bothered me. But then after about 7 days, it was starting to wear off. And I think by the time 2 weeks was over, I was totally out of it. But the problem is, as quick as it came on, as quick as it came off. And I get cold sores. And it's like the cold sores were like, you're having a breakout and a breakout and a breakout and a breakout. It's like, Jesus, I had actually had 3 going at once. And I take Valtrex because it's antiviral to stave them off.
Right.
And I actually ran out of the prescription. I had to call my doctor and get it renewed. And I almost went through the second one. And I'm like, good God, this is ridiculous. But, what kicks it is, nerves or, stress, extreme temperature, hot or cold. Mostly it was stress because, like at work, I was having constant breakouts. And my other doctor, I had like a, my coffee cup size jar of them, of antiviral, because it was so bad when I was still working.
Wow.
But, polished off that and then had to go get more. But I did EMDR, and what you're supposed to do with the SGB is get your jab, next day go get your EMDR.
Right.
Have that therapy set up. Well, I thought I called Jerry. Well, I did call Jerry, but I didn't schedule anything. So in my mind, I checked that box.
Right.
And then I think Dr. Kerr said, so, you're seeing your therapist tomorrow? And I said, oh, he's sitting right here. Wink. Yeah, I am. I got to call Jerry and get in. So the quickest Jerry could get me in was like 3 or 4 days after the jab. And, he's just busy, So finally got in, got the EMDR session done. And that really helped a lot. And the purpose of doing EMDR with the block is when you're, it's difficult enough, when you're way up here to get through that. But when you're way down here, it's really easy to get through it.
Yeah.
And, so we did some work.
What do you mean by way up here?
David, go ahead.
Mark's anxiety level at a 10 or a score of 68, he
Yeah.
was living very much moment to moment at a really high level of anxiety, kind of like all the time. It's generalized, it's specific because it gets triggered by specific things, but it's also just really general. It becomes, anxiety becomes kind of like depression in a sense, kind of a habit. You just kind of feel anxious all the time. And Mark had lived with PTSD long enough that he was anxious pretty much all the time. And when you're up here, and when Mark's description of the exhaustion, the fatigue, it's just like people with other anxiety disorders, when they finally get relief, they go down the scale like this, and they hit bottom, and they go to bed, and they're like, oh my God. And there's so much fatigue that's involved that gets generated by being anxious. It makes you tired. So that when you finally, when you get it turned off and there's none, and you're not holding everything up all the time, you crash.
Boom.
And that's what I saw happening on that day, was that you got into the car, Susan started driving, and you kind of just went.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't look over my shoulder to see if you were asleep.
Yeah, but I was in and out the whole way home.
It felt like you were drowsing, just kind of in and out. Exactly.
It was like taking a big hit of Ambien.
Yes. So like that's how I experienced it. Was being up here all the time becomes habit, becomes the norm. And when somebody goes, switch off, like a dimmer switch only turned really quickly, you fall down and you kind of collapse to what you need, which is rest and sleep. And what Susan's describing, a period of time, a week, okay, maybe 2 at max, but it's still a consecutive day after consecutive day of feeling good. Wow.
Yeah. It's like suffering from chronic back pain.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you're not in pain anymore. Well, wait a minute. I can move. Exactly. I can bend over.
Yeah.
I can stand up straight and this doesn't fucking hurt.
And then your body adjusts. It's not used to having to compensate by leaning this way or leaning that way or doing. You can just move. You're free.
Yeah, I can sleep now. And things are funny.
Well, I can see how EMDR would be more productive.
Yeah.
If you're down.
Yeah.
At
because
that level.
I can tell you, reflecting or going through experiences that, that are traumatic, going through that, just visiting again and how active you get when you're up here in a 10 of 10 anxiety. Now I'm down here in the basement, like little or no anxiety. And then we talk about it. We set it up, and I was at Jerry's probably for 2 hours that day. And we did a lot of work. I came home, took a fucking nap. Nappy time, and what I've reflected with Susan was that I haven't had that EMDR experience since our first session.
Right.
I mean, our second time we did it, I didn't have that same result.
Right.
But it was because there was so much there.
Right.
The first time around.
Right.
But anyway, and then once Jerry and I did the EMDR, I mean, it stirred up the fish tank rocks, like I like to say. So, I was a little nervy.
Right.
Still.
Sure.
But that quickly calmed down. I wasn't nervy for 3 days. I was nervy for about 3 hours.
Right.
Come home, took a power nap.
You're good.
Then I was good.
Yeah.
And then we were good after that.
Yeah.
So, how was your reflection up until the second one? Better?
Did you see it fade after that?
Yes.
What did you see fade? What was the difference?
Less episodes. So we had went camping. Just the weekend before he got the second shot.
Okay.
And when. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were having a great time and, enjoying family, friends. And just all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, something's wrong.
Right.
And, through all
By
of
his
this,
face.
by his face, by his actions, he just kind of clammed up and kind of got into dick mode.
Sorry, you can say dick mode.
Well, and, I think that if you have, if there's any wives of first responders out there, I think they understand that switch. All of a sudden, you're having a great time, and then you're not.
Right.
And as a spouse, you have absolutely no idea what happened.
Exactly.
And I'm thinking, what'd I do?
Yes.
Because you always blame yourself.
Yeah.
And so, but just through the therapy and counseling that we've been through, and I'm like, okay, I didn't do anything. This isn't me. Something's wrong. He's upset.
Right.
When I ask him,
Right.
I said, "Are you okay?" And he just said, "No, not right now." And we talked on the way home about cue words to let me know, no, I'm not okay. You didn't do anything, especially when there's a bunch of people around, but just give me a minute.
Right.
And so I didn't make a big deal out of it. And
'Cause she was having fun. They're playing cards. We're drinking.
yeah. So then
it was a great afternoon, beautiful sunny afternoon, and we're there by the lake and playing cards and just having a good day. And all of a sudden, PTSD said, "The fuck you are!" Flick.
So, but we handled it, and I think that looking back at that episode versus others prior to,
Exactly.
it was manageable.
As opposed to not.
Right. Or it didn't turn into something crazy.
Gotcha.
Or, and again, I didn't take it personally, so I think that had a lot to do with it not turning into anything.
Absolutely.
But he also just, he let it go, and we talked about it on the way home, and so.
And that by itself is powerful. The two of you could have dialogue after the episode, and it doesn't trigger anything else.
Right.
You can have something kind of like closure about that situation. Mark gets to walk away from it like, okay, I didn't make it into big time crazy.
Yeah, that's right. I contained my shit the best I could. But...
And it feels good that way.
Oh yeah, absolutely it does.
And it feels good to you that you could connect, have a conversation, dialogue about the experience, and not have it explode into something bigger because you're talking about it.
Right.
That opens the door to have a thing like, okay, we need a code word.
Yeah.
We need a solution.
Armageddon.
And with all that emotion out of the way, we can sit down and have that and come up with a solution that we can actually use and works because you know how to take it.
Right.
This is not about me. Communication's about the source. He's telling me something about him. He's bleeding. He's not bleeding because of me. He's not bleeding on me. He just hurts right now. And so what do? I take a step away. And I accept that he's in that place. He is in that place.
Yeah.
And if I let him go, if I give him that space, I have faith in him. He'll come back and he'll be okay. And that's what you got. There's a lot of wonderful things that happened in that little interaction.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it really did. And the thing that did amplified a lot of it was that for some reason I had in my head, I'm going to kill this bottle of Crown today. Went half a bottle, So I was born to drinks pretty stiff. And generally, it's not an issue. But that day, I don't know what it was. So I immediately stopped drinking. Just drank soda the rest of the day. Just started hydrating. Got some food in me. I took myself out of it. Because everyone's having fun. Everybody noticed. A lot of people picked up like, what the fuck's wrong with him?
Right.
Well, what's your fucking problem? Then nobody verbalized it. I'm just like, yeah, I need to get out of here. What I should have done was just left and said, I'm going to walk over to the camper for a minute. I got to poop, wink, and then just not come back and text her and say, I'm having an episode. So that's part of the conversation on the way home.
Beautiful.
Was that, how are we going to fix this in the future?
Yeah.
And we just decided that when it's really bad, I got code red. I'm going to go home. You're not doing anything. This is a me thing, and this is life with PTSD. This is how we deal with it.
Yeah.
And in the past it would be, it would just spin up into just nonsense. But luckily through therapy, and we recognized it, and we see how to battle this beast, and to fix it. And fixing it was having that dialogue on the way home.
Absolutely, yes.
And I think the other one was bananas. That was a code word on the it list when we get political. Was bananas, So I can tell her things are a little bananas right now. I'll be right back, and just walk away. That way, I know it's coming on.
Yes,
But that day I didn't have any forewarning. It was like, hey, I'm having fun. Nope, I'm ready to fucking go blow my brains out all of a sudden. And it's just like, whew, wow, well, that was out of the blue. Okay. Let's not do this anymore. So we finished the weekend out. My brother, I just went, he's like, come on, let's go for a golf cart ride. Okay, cool. Just this gets me out of the situation. Only he was just like typical trucker Bob, man. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, no wonder you've been thrown out every fucking place you ever go. These poor folks over there, hard, fast rule, no drinking on golf carts, and it's everywhere. Signs everywhere. What's Bob? Beer in hand, blaring fucking music, driving around as fast as that old golf cart at his wheel. I said, what are you doing? I'm just having a good time. Well, yeah, but you're about ready to run over these little kids. Stop. Jesus Christ. And, my nephew came over, and we were riding around with him, and even my nephew was yelling at him. He was like, what the hell is wrong with you? But finally, I'm like, all right, let me off. I'll just walk back. I'm done. Plus, I was nervy,
Yeah.
So, positive experience of the first shot.
Right.
Definitely recommended. The only problem is I should have had my EMDR scheduled the next day.
Yeah.
I would like to try and do it the day of.
That would be ideal.
Yeah, like get the shot in the morning and then do EMDR that afternoon.
Yes.
I think that'd be cool.
I think so too. Yeah.
So we did the first neck jab on August 18th. September 15th rolls around. And let's go do it again.
Yeah.
So same thing, same time. We got up. We shot down to Kentucky, had lunch at the same place. Oh, we forgot to talk about the bread pudding the first time. Oh my God!
Only the second time we didn't have the bread pudding.
I know, but the first time around, the guy's like, "Well, so would you like to have room for dessert?" And I'm like, "I'm busting at the seams." No, we got peach caramel bread. I said, "Yes, 2 spoons." I'll bring 3. David's like, you can keep that shit. I'm not eating it. But Susan and it came out, and it was warm, and it looked like a huge pile of dirt on a plate with whipped cream, and it had caramel drizzled. It was so
and pecans.
Pecans, yes.
And caramel.
Pecans and
peach,
caramel.
Yes.
I'm in.
Yeah. And me and Susan, I couldn't eat another bite, but goddamn, I wolfed half that shit down. I think it's partial food coma on the way home. But
that might be true.
Yeah, the next time we went, I thought it was something they had every day. The next time it was like cranberry something. I'm like,
it was raspberry.
Raspberry, cranberry, whatever. We're like, no, okay, we're out of here. So we go over, greet everyone. It was really simple. We went in. Dr. Kerr, again, gracious host. Hey, how you doing, buddy? Everything good? Yep. Just stab. And I got a bruise this time around.
Oh,
maybe gone by now, but got a little bit of a bruise. But on the way down, we had to do the test again, didn't we?
Right. We did the PCL5. That's what they're using as kind of like a baseline. You went from this score to this score, shows your progress or how much. Or if it doesn't change at all, we really need to do something different. So your score the first time was 64. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, if I remember correctly, that on the second, before the second test, along the same way, in the car, on the way down, read each item, and your score was 29.
Yes.
And 64 to 29, remembering that the effects of the injection lasted full course, 1 week.
Yeah.
Second week, fade down. Third and fourth week, Mark's not conscious of anything being different. No. But when we went to do the PCL5, It went from 64 to 29.
Right.
Wow. A whole lot better.
And we were wondering if he was even going to do the second jab.
Right. We wondered, yeah, because you're underneath that criteria.
Yeah, way under.
Yeah.
To the point to where you really wouldn't be clinically diagnosed.
That would be right. Yeah.
So when we gave Dr. Kerr's like, did you do your test again? And David's like, he sure did. And he gave the number. And I'm like looking at him going, this ain't happening, is it? And he's like, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
He says, as a matter of fact, he said, after this one, he said, this should eliminate 70 to 90% of your symptoms. And I looked at David. David looked at me. I looked at Susan. I'm like, really? And he's like, oh, yeah, get your EMDR done the next day. You got that set up, right? And I said, oh, yeah, I'm going tomorrow. And he said, yeah. He said, it's been our experience that this eliminate or gets the symptoms 70 to 90% over.
Right.
And he said, but I tell you what, if you need a third jab, I'll give you a third. He said, but yet I have never given a third shot.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he said that after the first shot, it'll come down, but then it slowly goes back up over time.
Mm-hmm.
And so then after the second shot, it's going to kind of keep that in range.
Keeps in the check. Yeah, it's not going to go up as more. So we thought that he was going to stab me in the opposite side of the neck.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And he's like, no, you had good results with the right side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oh yeah, instant, perfect. We'll just do it again on the right side. And I went, we all went, what? We looked like three dogs that heard a strange sound. We're like, huh?
If it works, don't fix it.
And that's exactly what it said. He said, oh no, he said, I had some clients come in that didn't have any effect first time.
Right.
He said, so that means that we didn't block it. You hit the nerve, everything went right. He said, but sometimes you hit the opposite side, and then
you get better results.
Yeah, you get better results. He said, so that's why we did it on the opposite side. He said, but yeah, if you're good on the right side, we'll stay right there.
Yeah.
And
for 64 to 29, he kind of for him that was equivalent to like 50%. Half your symptoms went away.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted, like Susan said, to get it down to 70 to 90 and for it to last longer.
Yeah.
And that's why he stuck with the right side. And so here we are a week and a day later.
Yeah, a week and a day later, we're doing the wrap-up show, which we're going to air this on the heels. This is going to be our first show in October. Believe me, boys and girls, you're not going to hear episode numbers on The Shield Within because we've done a lot of work. We've done a bunch of shows in between this one and the last time Joe Terry was here. We got some really, really great guests that we've had on.
Right.
But we're super excited, which, as you hear me say, I got to come up with a new catchphrase. But we're going to air this one up first.
Cool.
They wanted me to journal, and I was having a hard time journaling. And I thought, well, you stupid fuck, you got a microphone in and just go turn it on and talk about your first week. So I did some dialogue on the first week, and I don't know if we're just going to throw that up as like a bonus episode if anybody just wants to hear me talk for 40 minutes. I love hearing myself talk. So I've been talking with Donnie about maybe just doing that as a standalone, or not. Maybe we'll just, just talking about the effects of it. But I can say right now, a week and a day out, I'm super fucking chill today.
Mm-hmm.
I've been sleeping just like a baby every night. Still get woke up early, but that's not from me. That's from the dog. I get up, let her out, and I go back to bed. And I can go right back to bed, whereas before I could not. Once I'm awake, bing, I'm wide awake.
Exactly.
But no, now I'm going back to bed and sleeping, at 5:30 or 6. And I know that's still early for some folks, but the dog comes in at 3 o'clock. In the past, I would stay up.
Right.
And that's what I was trying to tell my partners on the other show, that you fuckers don't understand. We start recording that show at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And we're down there to like 9:30 or 10.
Easy.
And I've been up since 4:30.
Uh-huh.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
And now I'm a little drunk. And I still have an hour drive home. It's like, no, bro. No, we got to get this taken care of.
Right. Right.
Or shorter shows, but anyway, that's coming.
So I'm wondering, Susan.
Yes.
It's been a week and a day. You know what he was like after the first jab. You know what it was like as he was wearing down. You remember the episode over Labor Day weekend, I think it was, maybe, out at the camping?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, here we are a week and a day after jab number 2. What do you see?
He's still fat.
That block has not been invented.
Can we have one of those blocks?
The appetite block.
Person will not be working much longer after that happens.
Right. It's called a belly band.
We honestly, thinking about it, there's not been any episodes that I can think of.
Yeah.
So it's going good.
Now, this is a real odd question, and I haven't prepped you for it at all, so it's unfair.
Oh,
but I'm
great.
going to do it anyway. When you met Mark, he was not a cop.
No, he was not.
And for a period of time in your marriage and you're making babies, he's not a cop.
No.
So thinking about him the last month, how would you compare him in the last month to when you first met him? And you had that first part of your relationship where you were producing and you were, I'm guessing, happy and things were going well. Is that the old Mark that you see now, or is there something different?
Well, I think that I'm starting to see some of the old Mark come back. More happy-go-lucky was more the motto back then.
Okay. Easy going.
Easy going. Yes. I will be honest with you that he's, we were separated for a time, and the anger and the rage that I saw when we first got back together was I'd never seen before in 30 years.
Wow.
And so that I don't want to see that again.
Right. There's no place for it.
So, and I haven't since the first jab.
Right.
So, we're hoping we don't see that Mark come back.
Those are big words.
Yes.
Anger and rage.
Yes.
And I think that any other spouses of first responders that know their loved ones are hurting.
Yes.
And that's why I thought Joe was very courageous with her story. Talking about her life with Chip,
right,
and how things were there at the end. What a jackass he was,
right.
And, how you hurt people because you get on this self-destructive path, and you hurt everyone around you, and everyone's I don't give a fuck. How many times I've heard that out of several first responders, and it's kind of like a badge of honor. And I think about my friend who ended our friendship, and he had said that so many times. I just don't give a fuck. Fuck those fuckers. The world can go fuck itself. And that echoes to me. It's like, God damn, I became that guy. And
you were walking up that street, bro, but you never ended up at the cul-de-sac at the end where he lived.
Oh, yeah.
Because
great analogy, bro.
That man was a dead end on legs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I never met him. I did hear him one time.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was a man who had decided to live in a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
And you were always moving forward. The path was bumpy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very bumpy.
But you like today I can sit here and reflect on the hurt and the pain that you do on the people that's closest to you.
Yes.
And I had this conversation with Marc The Cop this morning. We're talking about a project we're going to work on, and we were talking about defending and taking care of your people. And I said, I'm generally a pretty happy-go-lucky guy, but fuck with something I love, I'll become a very violent guy. So don't fuck with the shit that I love, But I think that's kind of that mindset. But knowing that I've hurt those people, because of what I became, and I wasn't aware that I was becoming that person.
Right.
It's hard. It's easy now to look back.
Right.
But when you're in that. You just don't see it. I mean, and you're looking desperately for some kind of relief, that's where I would like to see the medical profession embrace the stellate ganglion block.
Right.
And if you get someone that is suicidal,
Yeah.
I would like to see statistics or someone that's willing
Right.
to get the fucking jab. It's like, where do you go?
Right.
Where do they send you?
Yes.
They send you to the ER.
Right.
Everything's there.
Right. They could do it right there.
Yeah, you come in, you get a quick assessment. Yes, you're suicidal. Say you're the therapist. You're the guy that has this first responder that comes in
Right.
after his first. Like what they did to Chip.
Yeah.
Okay, you get paid more money for what? Alcohol abuse or substance abuse. They get paid more. So instead, and no one
I know.
diagnosed that guy. But say, world revolves around me, and this is my story I'm creating. You're in ER. That's your rotation that night. A guy like Chip comes in. Yeah, he tells you, yeah, I just was going to go hang myself. I came here for help. You know what, Chip? We have a therapy that we would like for you to consider, and it's called the Stellate Ganglion Block. Give him the jab. How you feeling? Instead of doing EMDR or getting set up
Right.
10 months down the fucking road,
Right.
have that resource, get the jab, and have someone to be able to go in and talk to him the next day. I don't know the protocol. I know it took us a while to get set up for EMDR, but at least get the symptoms down so you can get him out of that
Right.
fight or flight mode.
As
Him, me, it doesn't matter. We can talk a bit that it would be me.
Yeah.
Say I went to the the ER after my first attempt
Right.
and talk to someone that isn't going to ruin my life and my career.
Yeah.
What's the first thing they want to do? We're going to send you on time off. We're going to take all your guns. We're going to take you off the job. The immediate, I'm going to destroy you,
Right.
even though you're in your lowest spot right now. So let's go ahead and destroy you, destroy your career for you.
Right.
But
Yeah. If somebody in the ER staff had just a little training on how to do butterfly tapping,
oh my God, yes.
you get the block, you do some butterfly tapping, and boom, you go home, and you feel fantastic.
I did that last time
Sweet.
for EMDR.
Yes.
Instead of the light, I did
Right.
butterfly tapping. Oh, so good.
It's so soothing, man. It is so soothing.
Jerry's looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing? And I said, we're going to do butterfly tapping this time.
Yeah.
And he's like, really? So he's tapping with me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right.
We set it up.
Yep.
We went to the memory.
Yep.
And he said to give the countdown, and we started. And we did it. And it was so much better. My effect this time around, just doing it right now makes me feel good.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
it's so it's awesome. It's hard for me to explain. But this time around, we did butterfly tapping. We did another 2-hour session, and then that's why we had that show before that we're not going to tell you guys about, but it's
Right.
coming out, big surprise. That's why I was so fucking chill. I mean, I'm still a little rattled when I got here, but I was good. I went to bed early that night.
I bet so.
I did. I told Susan it's like 8:00. I said, I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore.
My body's saying.
Yeah. I've had a long day,
Absolutely.
But anyway,
Yeah.
I think it's time.
Okay.
Unless you had something else you want to hit on.
Oh, God. I could probably always find something else.
We
to
can
do,
always talk
so-
for hours.
Exactly.
Susan, thank you for being here.
What a
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure to spend time with you, my dear.
Donnie, this is your cue.
May your days and nights find you strong and safe. May you take your place as your family's face. As you do the shit that we won't do. As you embrace the risk you must go through. May you grow in strength and heal and find your heart, your soul, and your mind. You look at your life and grin. You have a home, a shield within.